Hey guys, Mr.P-Lay here on the P-Lay Show. My PS2 catalog is big, so let's check out the first half of it. First up we have Need for Speed Undercover, which is a racing game where you basically play as an undercover cop trying to chase down some gangs and thieves driving around in the city, and you can decide to design whatever car you wish to. That is in the game, of course. But it's a very fun driving game. It's very fast and you have to think very fast because you don't really see the corners. It's very easy to forget where you are driving, and sometimes you jump up in the air when you're least expecting it. But it's very fun. Next up we have War of the Monsters, which is a third-person fighting game where you have big monsters and machines fighting against each other. It's basically a game that makes fun of big movie monsters and Japanese machines, so it's very funny to play. You have lots of characters to choose from. The camera can be your enemy at some point, but still it's very fun. You can pick up things and throw things at others, you can climb up on buildings, you can change colors on the characters, and you can change the appearance. It's a lot more than you think to this game. Next up, Rayman M, and the M stands for multiplayer, so you have different Rayman characters. So you do different races or fighting moments with. So you get different power-ups that you can use against your opponents, and each character play differently. So you can play as Rayman and these two kind of king figures and glow box behind there. All different kind of characters that you can unlock as well. I don't really recognize many of them since I don't play many Rayman games at all. Next up here I'm going to include these two James Bond games here, since they are the same franchise. So we have James Bond Everything or Nothing, which is a third-person game, and we have 007 Nightfire here, which is a first-person game. They both contain the same kind of stuff, like shooting and driving cars or vehicles. They both are very good, I gotta say that, and it's featuring Pierce Brosnan as James Bond, which is my kind of James Bond I've grown up with, even though I haven't really seen any James Bond movie. Only the latest one at the moment, as I'm recording this, which is No Time to Die, but that's Daniel Craig. But I enjoy both of these. They're very fun, they are a big part of my childhood. I played them a lot. Next up here we have Gran Turismo 4 and Tourist Trophy. You may be familiar with Polyphony doing Gran Turismo games, but have you heard of their game Tourist Trophy? Yes, the creators behind Gran Turismo made Tourist Trophy. But they are the same thing. Like, this is a driving simulator, this is a motorcycle simulator. I have tried this one 2 times, and I can't even make the first racing training sequence, if I say so. Like, I'm always falling off the motorcycle, and I don't really understand what I'm supposed to do there. It's so many mechanics there. And this Gran Turismo 4 is very difficult as well. I'm stuck on this, I don't know what to do. I'm at a very high difficult racing track and you need very fast cars and I can't make it. The funny thing with Gran Turismo 4 is that you can let the computer play, and you can command the game to do stuff for you. So I'll enjoy that a lot. It's sad that they don't have that these days at the modern Gran Turismo 7. But yeah, it's Polyphony. They have high standards for their games, no matter what they are. So you get a lot of choices between a lot of different games. So if you like driving games and motorcycle games, well, there you have. Next up here we have GTA San Andreas, a very beloved PS2 game and probably the most sold game on the system, I believe. Everyone is basically familiar with GTA. I am not a fan of these games at all. I mean, I don't like how they are. I mean, I like the free roam stuff, but I'm not really familiar. I don't really like the characters, how they speak, and I'm not really into the violence that they have in these sort of games. But sometimes it's fun to just jump into them and do crazy stuff. Also, Grand Theft Auto is also made for the cheats, so that's also a fun thing. I have lots of cheats for this one, so that's also a funny thing. Next up here we have SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, and this is the only wrestling game I have on my PlayStation 2. But I really enjoy this. I really like how arcadey it is. The moves are super fast and are very sold. If I say so, like if you get a punch or anything, the characters can go flying and everything. And the characters look good in general. I mean, you have characters like Rey Mysterio, Batista, John Cena, and other small characters down here. It's very fun to go back to play sometimes. You have characters like Rey Mysterio, Batista and John Cena there. There's a lot of different matches you can play. Also, it has General Manager mode. I think it's the first game that has it. So next up we have Disney's Incredibles. Now it's in Swedish, so it says something different here. It says Superhjältarna. But the whole PlayStation 2 era is my childhood, so this is a big part of my childhood as well. My cousin had this game as well, and we played this so many times. The voice acting are very great, and it's funny, and it flutes a lot. You get a chance to play as all the Incredibles characters, and they are different in their own ways. But yeah, I really enjoy this one. I just wish it was 2-player, but if you think about how the game is, it probably wouldn't work. So next up here we have Ben 10 Alien Force and Ben 10 Protector of Earth. Now Ben 10 was a big cartoon show for me as a kid, and I really enjoyed it, so I of course wanted to have the video games for it, and you get the chance to play all the different kind of aliens. So it's a beat 'em up game going on one part of the stage, and then you have to get fighting enemies, and sometimes you're facing bosses. It's very fun. You can play multiplayer on these games as well, which makes it even more weirder, if I say so. Next up here we have Bakugan Battle Brawlers. So of course I like Bakugan as a kid, so I needed to have this game. I had the other Bakugan game that came out on the PS3. I don't remember what it's called now. But this is basically Bakugan simulator. You get to throw the Bakugans out on the field, and you get to choose cards that fits best to your collection, and you battle so many different characters that are created just for the game, or you battle the same kind of character that's just switching different kind of Bakugans. It is repetitive, but it has some challenge in it, and you get to steer and control the Bakugans before it goes out in battle, so that's a fun thing as well. So as a big Marvel fan, of course I gotta have the Spider-Man 1 and 2 games. So these are based on the first and second movies of Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, but it has its own spin of a story, so it doesn't really follow this movie completely, otherwise it would be too boring because you know what's gonna happen. I mean, Mysterio appears in this one, and there are some characters in this game that doesn't appear in the movie, such as Scorpion. But this one is a third-person fighting game. This one is open world fighting game. So there are two different games actually. This is the first Spider-Man game that you actually walk on the streets. But the funny thing in Spider-Man 1 here is that you can play as a Green Goblin if you can finish the game in the hardest difficulty. Well, you can actually cheat. There are lots of cheats for this game. Not for this one though, but this one actually gives more of a challenge. This one has some challenging stages as well that goes way beyond crazy, but that's how it is. Next up here we have Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King and The Third Age. Now this is in Swedish. But these are actually two kind of games. Now this is a role-playing turn-based game, and this is a third-person action game. And they are actually very fun, both of these. They are really good voice acting from the movie, and there are scenes from the movie. If you don't like watching movies, this one is a good example. If you like watching movies, this one is a good choice for you, because you can replay lots of the stages from the movie, which with its own spin. You can unlock several characters for this one, and there are some characters in this game that are completely created just for the game itself.